journey, if you will, to the dark side. Take a journey with me through an album called Mortal Fear and DOA, a Twin Cities-based band called Morticia. Please welcome Morticia and Matt Batchelor.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
Great.
All right. Lots of good things happening for a band. We're going to talk about some of that stuff, and we're going to get into some videos and things like that. First off, why don't you describe your music for everybody? I called it horror rock. What is it? What would you describe it as?
Horror rock is a good way. There's a lot of ways to describe it. I guess we kind of affiliate ourselves more in the heavy metal genre, but it's also heavily theme-oriented, so it's like dark side metal, we call it.
Dark side metal. That's a good one. That sounds good. Describe some of the different songs on the record, what you do with maybe some of your writing influences lyrically.
Well, we cover everything from black market body parts to songs about haunted houses, influenced by Edgar Allan Poe and a lot of the post-punk movement out of the early 80s, bands like The Damned and Bauhaus and 45 Grave out of Los Angeles.
I think it's a gothic rock is the style that kind of came out of Europe, and it's sort of what we adapted, except that it was a lot more on the dirge end of music, and that's where a lot of the Bauhaus influence and that sort of thing. And so it's a lot more of a European-related thing, but we've added it to, kind of the American thing, the heavy metal bit. And
you talked about Europe now. You guys got some things happening in Europe, different metal magazines and things writing about you over there. Seems like the European markets take to glam rock or horror rock or the different kinds of rock and roll. They're wide open to it. More speed metal over there started out. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the European thing?
Well, Semaphore, it was a European distribution company, had really done a good job for us. They sold half of the pressings of both the records. And then a magazine called Metal Hammer picked us up and wrote an article about us, and ever since then it just spiraled. We're going there this September, and we're really excited. Amsterdam and Germany.
All right.
Yeah, we've had really good response from Europe all the way around. We've hit the top 10 in France for a week, and we have gotten a lot of response from really bizarre places you wouldn't expect would have any access to our music, like East Bloc countries like Czechoslovakia and Hungary and Poland and Yugoslavia. And
getting some fan mail from there.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. They try to write in English, and they end up drawing little pictures of things they want, cassette with an arrow and
yeah, they always want the free stuff.
Yeah.
Send us some stuff. We can't buy it over here because rubles are no good.
Yep, the exchange rate just doesn't work. Send it free, okay? All right.
All right. So, talking about some of your shows and things, you play a lot of shows, 7th Street Entry and things like that in the Twin Cities. You get out on the road once in a while. You're going to go to Chicago, play a place that slave raiders familiar with. Chances are you'll have a good time down there, I'm sure. Tell us a little bit about your shows. What's involved? Do you enter theater into the shows at all, or?
We try to be as theatrical as we can. We'd do a lot more if there was, budget to do it, because we're really into the special effects and trying to shock the audience here or there. We have props and things we use, like my custom-built anvil coffin. It's the old-fashioned kind that's tapered at the bottom.
It's a roadie's dream, let me tell you.
My boys bring me out. That's how we start out the show, like the pallbearers, and yeah, it's. I'm going to be buried in it someday. It's a wonderful.
It's a wonderful thought. All right, well, why don't we take a minute here to check out some of your music, since we just talked about the show and what you're all about. Do one of your videos here. I don't know, call whichever one you want to send out. We got a couple videos by Morticia, by the way.
I think we're going to be taking a look at Boyer.
All right, and that's off of which record?
DOA.
All right, let's take it away. Enjoy it. Lawyer! All right. A little spook rock never hurt anybody. All right, we're here with Morticia and Matt Batchelor from the band Morticia. Having a good time. You guys enjoying yourselves? You guys
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
All right. Inside rock and roll, bringing you all kinds of wild rock and roll. Let's talk a little bit about some of your shows. We just got a chance to see some of what you look like on stage, and that was at the Faust Theater, by the way. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serious Faust. That was 2 days after it officially closed. And we had, they were great. They let us come in and bring all the cameras in, and they knocked out walls, and we got to plan it out ahead of time. And so we got to use the carousel where they had the peep shows, and then they let us bring in an audience, and we just went uptown and passed the word around to the kids up there. And so we had 100 juveniles up there screaming and acting crazy in the Notorious Faust. So we had a great time doing that.
Looks like a great time, too. You've been having a little bit of trouble sometimes with some different shows in different areas when certain kinds of things happen in the news.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that just briefly?
Well, it all started in Rochester. That's where one of our guitar players, Dave Majerus, is from, and we were going to play the hometown, you know, and all of a sudden an incident happened up there, and we've got our date canceled there, and also the radio station that did say they were going to play us will not play us now. And incidents like in St. Cloud, too, that came down, and we lost like a lot of money's worth of jobs between there and Fargo, and some albums did get sent back to our distributor from a record store in St. Cloud. What was the town that we played in Illinois, Jode?
Peoria. And you're not really saying what these incidences are. We've had situations in Rochester. It was a case of David Brahm, who ex-murdered his family and happened to have a headset on at the time and blamed it all on rock and roll, I guess. We were this really ominous, mysterious, weird, scary thing coming in, and they just didn't think the town could handle it.
Well, there's an important point to make here, isn't there, about your music now? It's theater rock, and
It's
I don't know.
more resembling like a horror movie, something like, you know, a Vincent Price movie, or it's more of an escapism type thing. The show is, it's the end, the lights come up, and you know, it's not serious, scary anymore, but when we are doing our shows, we try to, you know, pull it off at least with sort of a mysterious edge with, you know, real mood lighting and fog, but it's all in good fun. There's nothing in the music whatsoever that is, you know, has any ties to, you know, a cult or anything like that. There's absolutely nothing.
any more than a horror movie or anything like that, isn't it?
It's purely fiction.
That's right. Now, you don't go home and believe all this stuff, do you? You just get into it, or?
Well, I don't know. We've got this haunted mansion up on the hill, and for some reason it's always raining over our house, and you know, the dogs are howling, and
we had to tape this at night too. I usually like to do this in the daytime, but they made me come out at night. They only come out at night.
I didn't want to get.
I tell you what, just in case, I picked up some supplies here. I got a little garlic over there. And it's not sharp enough yet, but I think if I, rammed it hard enough, I might be able to defend myself.
I'll keep my distance.
All right, you want to talk a little bit about, maybe since this show is going to be on in May and stuff, I guess the Minnesota Music Awards might have just happened already, but while we're taping this, they haven't happened yet, and you've been nominated for some awards. I'm going to be a presenter for the Heavy Metal Award there, by the way. You can come see me in my Raiderized tux with a top hat. But anyway, you're up for some awards. Are you happy about that?
I don't really have much of a feeling about it. In prior years, it's meant more. I think the awards have gone through so many changes over the years, and they keep trying to make them successful financially and the way that they're run and the way that they're handled. But I personally didn't believe in what they were trying to do with it this year. And for example, the showcases they put on at the various clubs around town, and they have other years as well, it's an opportunity for bands to play for people who've been invited to come up, record labels and industry people, and it's a lot of opportunities for bands right around that time of year they create. So this year they were expecting the bands to come up with money to be able to just get on the list to do a showcase. They weren't even guaranteeing a showcase, but they said, hey, send us, a couple $100 and sure, you can play. And under those circumstances, I figure people in Minneapolis are just as well running off to Los Angeles because they can pay to play out there just as easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty sad, the corporation man gets involved in there. Hopefully it'll be good for a lot of people because there will be, a lot more industry people, and I know that they publicize it fairly well, but we'll just have to see. I think there's a lot of great talent in the Twin Cities, as everybody knows.
There is.
And there's a lot more growing, especially in the underground. Isn't that right?
Well,
Yes.
well, you gotta phrase it underground metal scene, and that's the point in the Twin Cities, because people usually tend to get it confused. The underground rock movement, Soul Asylum and all that, and Husker Du, has gotten their share of the media, and because of shows like you, and now City Pages is finally opening up, starting to expose the underground metal scene, and I really appreciate it. There's a lot of good talent out there, and that's one thing I think that the Academy should recognize, is that there is underground rock and there is underground metal.
There's more than fun, more than flannel shirts.
Music, yeah.
And more than just that kind of related. And metal is so much of what's happening out of the cities right now.
It's the biggest thing that's happening in the cities, no doubt about it, everywhere.
It's just amazing.
The big clubs, the small clubs.
There hasn't been as much recognition on that front.
Yeah, one example is like between you guys and Power Man, and all these bands getting national deals, and if it would happen to one of the other underground bands, I mean, they put out little 45s and they're writing about it constantly. All these bands are getting signed on to national labels and they're getting absolutely no local media attention.
Take note of that! All right, let's get into another video. And then we'll sign off. Matt Batchelor from Morticia. And Morticia, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This next video, of course, the two records we want to mention again. Mortal Fear. Back in 86, isn't that? Was recorded then? And DOA, their latest record, came out in 87, 88, something like that. All right, the next song is Grave Rocker. What album's that off of, and what's it about?
That's off Mortal Fear. We recorded the end of it in a graveyard, and just the carekeepers in the graveyard were trying to push us away when we were recording.
That's why you see us leaving in the video.
All right, get them out of my grave!
The lantern bearer lights the way for those who no more seize the day. Blind eyes peer out from every head that crowns the carriage of the dead.
came with inside